of listening to Dylan Maynard, who happens to belong to Mr. Rusty Maynard, Miss Kimberly Maynard. Right here, this is his mom, this is his dad. And so he's going to talk to you. He's prepared a little talk. He and I have done a little duet kind of thing before in the pulpit together. He does a really good job. He's so bashful, we have to work on that part. Real bashful. So quiet. And doesn't know what to say.
Brother, I have this big paper here.
So he's going to practice it, because before too long we're going to do another duet out there in the church. And he's going to help me, and we're going to do this little topic that he's doing. So this is kind of a run through, kind of a practice. And so you all guinea pigs.
Oh, wait, you forgot to tell them that you haven't heard about it yet.
Oh, yes. Have I ever met you before? You're supposed to say, no, you never met me before. We're complete strangers. That'd be kind of rude, wouldn't it? Okay. Yeah, I've met you before, but I have not heard this. In fact, he came in to do it for me this morning. I said, hey, I want to hear it like all the rest. First time, and I want to celebrate with everybody else.
Well, then maybe you should go have a seat.
Maybe I should go have a seat. Well, since you put it so succulently, I think I'm going to go have a seat. You want to go have a seat? Okay, where are we going to go have a seat at? Okay, I give it to you, Mr. Dylan Maynard. Okay, you only have an hour and a half, Kurt.
Okay, I don't think this will take that long.
You don't think so? That's good.
Okay, so a few months ago I told a speech I made for LCC. Well, now I'm going to tell you another one called Ready or Not, Here He Comes. Now most of you have played hide and seek. If not, I'm going to tell you how. Usually there is one seeker and the rest hide. The seeker has to close his or her eyes and counts to a random number. The hiders have to hide while the seeker is counting. You could be in a tree giggling or curling up under your neighbor's bush. If you are at a house or the woods or even the church building, you have to hide quietly. You need to be ready for the seeker to seek. If you are not ready, you're going to be running, but you can't run far from the seeker. Being prepared by hiding well is the key in hide and seek, and it's a lot of fun. However, there is a story in the Bible that is all about being prepared, and it is much more serious than playing a game. The story is in Exodus 12, 21 through 23. Then Moses summoned all the elders of Israel and said to them, go at once and select the animals for your families and slaughter the Passover lamb. Take a bunch of hyssop, dip it into the blood in the basin, and put some of the blood on the top and on both sides of the doorframe. Not one of you shall go out of the door of his house until morning. When the Lord goes through the land to strike down the Egyptians, he will see the blood on the top and side of the doorframes and will pass over the doorway. And he will not permit the destroyer to enter your house and strike you down. The Israelites were protected by the Lord. If Moses hadn't told the people to do this, they would have had somebody killed. How many of you have been in a situation like this, when you had to be ready? Well, I'm pretty sure you didn't have to put blood on your doorframe, but you had to be ready. At midnight, the Lord struck down on all the firstborn in Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh, who sat on the throne, to the firstborn of the prisoner, who was in the dungeon, and the firstborn of all the livestock as well. Pharaoh and all of his officials and all the Egyptians got up during the night, and there was a loud wailing in Egypt, for there was not a house with someone dead. I had said before that the Israelites were protected by the Lord, and that if you didn't, people would be killed. Now, were the Egyptians told all about this? They weren't told about the other 9 plagues. There was a reason, though. God had told Pharaoh to let his people go, but Pharaoh refused. As a matter of fact, Pharaoh and his people had become very cruel to God's people. Also, Pharaoh didn't listen to God's message through the 9 plagues. The 10th plague was the one to prepare for and stay inside. Those who didn't lost their firstborn. Another seeker will come to the world, so we have to be ready. Jesus makes it very clear that there is an event that we all need to be ready for. No one can hide from this event like our game. However, like the Israelites, we can prepare and obey God. Listen to these words. Matthew 25:31-46 says, "When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, he will sit on his throne in heavenly glory. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, 'Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of this world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me.' Then the righteous will answer him, 'Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty or give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you?' The king will reply, 'I tell you the truth. Whatever you did for one of these, least of these brothers of mine, you did for me.' Then he will say to those on his left, 'Depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not invite me in. I needed clothes, and you did not clothe me. I was sick and in prison, and you did not look after me.' They will also answer, 'Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty, or a stranger, or needing clothes, or sick or in prison, and did not help you?' He will reply, 'I tell you the truth, whatever you did not do for one of the least of these, you did not do for me.' Then they will go away to eternal punishment, but the righteous to eternal life." I see two things that are similar between the Passover story and the coming of Jesus. In both passages, there were winners and losers. In the first story, winners were the Israelites and the losers were the Egyptians. The winners in the last story were the people on the king's right, and the losers were the people to his left. The second thing I see is that in both scriptures, obeying God's words are the important thing, even if you don't understand why at the time. Obey God regardless of what you think, what anyone else thinks. Someone who didn't believe God's words to Moses might have made fun of people putting blood on their doors and stuff. But obeying God instead of people really was the right thing to do. And those who did were thankful. In the Matthew passage I read, it was also about obeying God. Those who please the King will be those who have helped other people and acted towards people in need the way Jesus did. They are the people who obey Jesus. Those who displease the King are those who do not obey Jesus. Those who follow Jesus are going to heaven, and those who are not are going to hell. Also, verse 32 tells us that all nations, that means all people, will be gathered before Jesus. No one will escape or hide. God kept this promise to the Israelites, and He will keep His promises to us as well. When we die, we will be in the judgment. So those who are alive when Jesus comes back will also be in judgment. So I have one question for you. So, like the game of hide and seek, when we say ready or not, here I come, let's be ready for Jesus to come back by obeying Him. When it's time for Him to come back, He will come whether we are ready or not. So here's my question for you today. Are you ready for Judgment Day? That is all.